let's take a look at some interesting snap count numbers from the ninth game of the 2022 WVU football season. Let's go. What's going on, Mountaineer Nation? Jordan Cruz back here with the Country Roads Webcast. And before I get into this video, just wanted to give you a quick reminder, if you would, do us a favor, scroll down, hit that thumbs up button, give us a like on this video. That'll help this video's performance and help future videos performances here on the channel. And if you haven't already, do us a favor, hit that subscribe button. Helps us, helps you, helps get more of this Mountaineer sports content out to Mountaineer Nation. And as always, link to our merch store in the video description down below. Get you a Country Roads Webcast hat, shirt, sticker, coffee mug, you name it, you can find it with the CRW logo on there. And that's one of the best ways to support us as we continue to try and grow the Country Roads Webcast community throughout Mountaineer Nation. That being said, let's get into it. All right, so continuing our snap count series here that we've been going over weekly throughout the season, into week 10 of the college football season here, which was the ninth game for the West Virginia Mountaineers. And let's look at some of the snap count numbers on defense here to start. Some of the more interesting ones that stuck out to me anyways, I guess. And, that would be some of the guys that got into the game that we don't typically see, would, of course, be one of those situations, and that would be Taurus Simmons, who had 2 snaps, and Caden Bizer, who had 2 snaps. So, spelling Lee Koba a little bit, you do get Caden Bizer in there, and I am still wondering about the status of Tyreek Austin Cave, the Miami transfer that was supposed to be a Mike linebacker for West Virginia. From all reports, he's now healthy, but haven't heard any talk about him from the coaching staff. Haven't seen him on the field. Not too sure what's going on there. Seems like he's definitely more talented than some of the players that have been put in there to spell Lee Koba ahead of him, and a little bit more experienced as well. So I'm not too sure what the situation is there. But nonetheless, Caden Bizer, the walk-on, gets 2 snaps, spelling Lee Koba a little bit in this game. Andrew Wilson-Lamp at corner only played 7 snaps, actually. Jalen Thornton got 9 snaps in on defense. Good to see him get involved in some action lately. I know he was hurt earlier in the year, and he was a player they thought could be a contributor along that defensive line, a legacy player there, the son of John Thornton, former Mountaineer. So hopefully he's a guy that contributes, more in the remaining, few games of this season, and then also moving forward in his Mountaineer career, I think could be a contributor on the D-line as a legacy player there. Wesley McCormick playing 16 snaps at corner, as did Caleb Coleman, actually. Eddie V, defensive line, I thought played well when he was in there, only played 20 snaps. Linnell Carr at Bandit getting 22 snaps, as does Naeem Muhammad at Spear with 31 snaps. Mike Lockhart was on the field a good bit in this game. I think that was to try and help with some of Iowa State's, heavy sets. And he got 31 snaps in this one. And then, of course, moving on up, some other ones that really stood out, of course, were Raleigh Collins, who got his first career start at the Spear position. Bit of a mixed bag for him in this game, but of course, I think he's a true freshman that's being relied upon until, ahead of when they were planning to use him. And I think he was actually recruited to play Bandit or Will, one of the two, if I'm not mistaken, but having to play Spear this season for the Mountaineers. Davis Mellinger out. Lance Dixon, who had moved to Spear earlier this year, out. So you thrust Raleigh Collins in there as a true freshman. And he took some lumps in this game against Iowa State, but I think he still showed, some flashes of bright spots that, he has potential for the future. He's probably just, having to play a little bit more extensively than he should at this time in his career. But, what can you do? You got to play the players that you got when people go down, and it's that next man up mentality. And shout out to Raleigh Collins for stepping up and, being that next man up. And hopefully he continues to improve moving forward throughout this season and has a few better performances to close it out. And I think, could potentially lead into a starting role in 2023 for the Mountaineers, possibly. We'll see how that shakes out. But then other than that, you get the familiar faces up top with the snap counts on defense, getting the most snaps. Of course, Lee Koba, 74 snaps. Aubrey Burke, 61 snaps. Dante Stills, 55 snaps. And Jordan Jefferson, 48 snaps. Flip it over to the other side of the football for the Mountaineers, the area where they really struggled in this game, unfortunately, as we all know, and that's the offense. Cortez Braham, 12 snaps for the Mountaineers at wide receiver on offense. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I'd like to see him get more snaps. Jeremiah Aaron get more snaps. I know Jeremiah Aaron, I mentioned him here in a little bit. He got more than Braham, and Jeremiah Aaron kind of got closer to what I'd like to see them get up in, the 20 to 25 snap range. but Cortez Bram only ends up with 12 in this one. Garrett Green, 13 snaps in the game. They got him in early, in some packages, used him in different ways early, handing him the football, throwing it to him, having him line up in the slot, things like that. And then, of course, late in the game, he gets in mop up duty and leads, the a touchdown drive for the Mountaineers, something they'd only done, one other time prior in the game. And I thought he looked really good. I know it's mop up duty. I know Iowa State may have not been playing, you know, the same type of coverage. They probably had their second stringers in there as well. But I did like what I saw from Garrett Green when he was in there. And we'll talk more about him in our player grade series, which check that out if you haven't already. And then moving on, tight end Traylon Davis, 13 snaps as well. And I believe he caught a pass again. I think that's the third straight game he's caught a pass. Jalen Anderson, a halfback, 14 snaps. I was surprised that he didn't get more. I thought they really just pretty much relied on Justin Johnson solely. And, I understand that. They have a lot of trust in Justin Johnson. They really haven't seen Jalen Anderson extensively enough, I guess, to warrant the extended playing time. But I think sometimes, like I said, on the defensive side with Raleigh Collins, maybe he wasn't ready either, but you had to thrust him out there. And I think Jalen Anderson's a guy that has potential. And I think you got to give him a few more snaps. You don't want to wear Justin Johnson down. I don't know what the status is moving forward of Tony Mathis. We know C.J. Donaldson won't be back, but if Tony Mathis isn't back, I think you got to get Jalen Anderson maybe a couple more snaps or so. Try and get Justin Johnson a little bit more break because, the Mountaineers were trailing, so they couldn't run it as much. But I thought maybe that accompanied with the fact of him being worn down, he could have got some more carries later in this game, and the Mountaineers could have used that because I thought he was really running the ball effectively early. But when you get in the hole that the Mountaineers, did late, you can't really rely on the run too much. So, that's one of the reasons they did kind of had to go away from him. But I did like what I saw from Justin Johnson, and I think Jalen Anderson has potential, so maybe he'll get more snaps moving forward. Brian Palindi at tight end, 16 snaps. Brandon Yates, right tackle, 18 snaps. Spelling Jaquay Hubbard there at times. Jaquay Hubbard definitely kind of seems to taken on the starting role at right tackle and getting the majority of playing time at that position. Jeremiah Aaron, who I touched on a little bit earlier, 19 snaps there. Here's a surprising one, though. Caden Prather, only 28 snaps in this game. Reese Smith gets 35. BFW 41. And then, of course, your mainstays on the offensive line there, getting 53 snaps with Wyatt Milam, Zach Frazier, and Doug Nestor. And then, of course, adding there with them is Thomas Remack, who we've seen the past couple weeks for West Virginia at left guard with James Gamitter out dealing with a loss in the family there. So he gets 53 snaps as well. So 4 of your 5 starting offensive linemen getting, the most snaps in the game, where the right tackle still splitting time occasionally. But other than that, Sam James played the most snaps with 48 at the receiver position, Bryce Ford Wheaton with 41, and then JT Daniels with 44. So that's just kind of a look at the snap counts for the Mountaineers that stuck out to me in this contest against Iowa State. I'll continue this series for the final, 3 games of the Mountaineer football season. Plenty of stuff to cover. I know it's not the brightest time right now, obviously, but there's still, things to be detailed. So we will do that here on the Country Roads webcast moving forward with our snap count series and, of course, our player grade series as well that you can find here on the Country Roads webcast YouTube channel in the following week following a WVU football game. Usually get it out sometime early to midweek. This one's going to be releasing on a Tuesday, but having said that, I really hope you guys enjoyed this. Like I said, one more time, if you haven't already, like the video before you head out. That'll really help this video's performance and help future videos' performances. And if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. Helps us, helps you, helps get more of this Mountaineer sports content out to Mountaineer Nation. As always, I'm Jordan Cruz, and until next time, let's go, Mountaineers.